Hey, everybody. It's the Say's Way of Cooking. And today, I'm going to share with y'all how I'm about to make this recipe from two cultures combined into one recipe. So I would consider this a collaboration. I'm going to combine Mongolia and Louisiana and make Mongouisian dirty rice. Let's make it happen. I'm hoping that y'all were able to at least pause the video or screenshot it, do anything that y'all can to get the ingredients in the very beginning of the video, because this was kind of a fast process. And as y'all can see here, I'm prepping everything for my Mongolian beef, as if I was making Mongolian beef. But yeah, so basically I just decided to, make up in my mind to combine two cultures together and make Mongolian beef with a Louisian twist, which was why hence the name I gave it was Mongouisian. And I don't know if anybody else has came out with this idea. To be honest, I think I'm gonna redo this recipe over again because I kind of rushed this process. I'm gonna try to take my time next time because I didn't get all of the grease out from the Mongolian beef, which made it sort of kind of greasy. Here I am prepping my celery, and one of the main key ingredients that I'm missing from the Holy Trinity is the bell pepper, which y'all don't see. And I only did that only because I'm trying to make do or make use of what I have based on what I have at home. And so I didn't want to, make a run to the store for just one bell pepper, or just to, add it to it. But I also feel like it's unauthentic, which I always try to strive for unauthenticity, because I myself am not an authentic individual. I'm not perfect, obviously, as you can see. And it's funny because I'm not directly from either of these. I'm not from Mongolia, but I do have a little of a Louisian background due to my mom. And so y'all may hear some of the Louisian accent come out of me once every now and again, but I get it all the time from people that I have a strong country accent, despite that I'm a city girl. I find that to be very interesting. And it's funny because my mom sounds more like she's from Detroit than I am. And so it's like the roles switched. Yeah, and so anywho, this is me. I'm prepping everything. I'm prepping the scallion. And what I wanted to do was separate the whites from the greens. And y'all will see that I'm going to cook the whites in with the ground beef and the ginger and the garlic. And I know y'all see right here that I've divided the ginger twice. So some I minced and some I left sliced. And one thing that I like to do, thanks to YouTube, they taught me, like, if I were to ever have anything that can be frozen, just so that it don't go bad too quick, just have it in the freezer, bag it up and sit it in the freezer, and it should last you a while. And so I took it up on myself, thanks to the people on YouTube, that I decided to freeze my garlic and ginger. So on occasions like this, with recipes like this, like so suddenly, so momentarily, by inspiration and by my, searches on Google and things on how I would go about searching for random recipes if I'm in just that much of a mood, that I'll have it right on hand. So when that sudden spark of inspiration happens, I'll have it right then and there. I won't have to make any store trips or anything. So here I am. I added 2 cups of water to this jar, and I added in maybe about a teaspoon and a half of this oyster sauce. And there's the mirin. And you're going to see me add the brown sugar, the honey, the stuff to sweeten it so that it can balance out all of that salt and the spiciness from the red pepper chili flakes. And y'all know what? Despite that this was a rushed processed recipe, I had fun making it. I always experiment all the time. It's never a time that I don't experiment. And even if I don't experiment, I always, when I do cook, I never make it the same every time. I just try to use what I have on hand again, so that I won't have to make any won't have to run any errands to the grocery store or anything. Here I am putting in the sesame oil, and I try not to put in too much of that, because a little of that can go a long way. And I feel the same way about truffle oil. I try not to use that too much either. There's my Mrs. Dash again. Y'all try to capture the ingredients in the beginning that I used, and once again, you know, y'all can try this recipe, but I really don't think that it's going to be a foundational based recipe for me. I got to experiment with this a little more, because again, I tried to drain as much grease out as possible, but I know I didn't get all of it out. But I want to say also what's beneficial about it too, about not getting rid of all the grease, and washing my rice, which y'all will see later on in the video that I do wash it. I washed it 4 times, and I used 2 different textures of rice. I used Thai jasmine and the short grain. And the only reason that I used both of those together is because I only had a little bit of the short grain left. So I just figured I may as well use the rest of it, because why not? And so it was like literally half and half. And so both of the half and half, it made a total of 1 cup of rice, which I freaking loved. And that hence is why I love to use anything that's left over, because you can make less more. And as y'all can see, everything that I done put in here, now I'm shaking up the jar. If I would have did this the night before, I think it would have sat and marinated. It would have been a lot more flavorful. Excuse me, I'm sorry. But yeah, I think it would have been a lot more flavorful. But again, I'm going to try to experiment a little more, and I'm going to try to keep this recipe, but tip it into top perfect shape, because I like this idea of combining 2 totally different cultures into one recipe. And I think I'm going to start combining 2 different cultures into one recipe more often. It's fun, because you never know what you're capable of being able to make out of something, you know, because you can make you can make a lot out of a little. And that's one of the things that I do definitely love about cooking and experimenting. You can make a lot out of a little. Less is more. And that's something that we all need to learn. You don't need more of this or more of that. Don't get too greedy when it comes to protein or vegetables. Try to find balance in any way that you can, which was what I was trying to do with this recipe in particular. I didn't want to have too much of one thing, and then it overpowers the whole recipe. But let me stop running. I'm running my mouth too doggone much. Okay, so as y'all can see, I had introduced y'all to what was going into the pot with the ground beef, and y'all are going to see too also that I'm going to use the complete seasoning, but I try not to use too much, only because of what it was that y'all saw that I previously had put in a jar. And all of those have sodium in it as well, and so I try not to overpower it with too much sodium. Y'all see what I'm doing? Y'all see what I'm doing with my fingers? I say you don't need but a little bit, just a little bit. I only wanted to season my ground beef just a little bit, because I know for a fact that if I would have just used what was in the jar and then poured the rice in there, that rice tends to suck up a lot of flavoring from the Mongolian beef stock that I had made. As y'all can see, I gotta put my bay leaves in there. Matter of fact, I forgot my bay leaves are still in there. I gotta take those out. I gotta take the bay leaves out. Here I am. I'm about to wash the rice. And y'all, again, just a reminder, these are 2 different grains, but it all worked out in the end, which I loved. And so y'all will see at the ending of the video, I'm not gonna really run my mouth like I am doing now, because y'all are going to see that I'm very unconvinced about how quick this rice had gotten done. Mind you, I had just put the rice in, and it took no longer than 15 minutes for it to get done. But I'm probably going to also say that may have been also due to the grease of the ground beef that I didn't drain, but again, I got majority of. And I was trying to at least try to get my rice brown just a little bit. But I guess, you know, again, things happen. And so I tried not to let it stay in the skillet for too long. Okay, y'all, it's coming up. This was it. I was not convinced at this point, but the clip is about to come up. Here we go. no time for this rice to get done. And this is 2 different grains, so let's see. Ooh. Looks like it. Only one way to know. Gotta try it. Well, I guess it is. Alright. I'm gonna let this continue to sit, but I'm gonna move this to the back eye. Alright, y'all.